Hello, infinite, eternal children of God. Thanks so much for dropping by this video. So, non-duality, the idea that in truth, everything is one, everything is unified. And the truth, the, the path to knowing our true nature, not as some separate, lost, suffering being, but depending on the type of uh, non-duality, either completely at one or intimately a part of creation. Just as a drop of water in the ocean is intimately unified, not just a separate individual thing, but part of a vast whole. And the path to get there, that's what non-duality is all about. And this beautiful philosophy, view of life has been ridiculously distorted over the last, I don't know when it began. It really got bad with Papaji and to some extent Nisargadatta. And it's been just horrifically distorted. And so nowadays, it's a whole movement, and the whole movement is just, I don't know how else to say it, but it's just a shit show. And today we're going to look at a little bit of why it's a shit show from a specific angle. So then in non-duality, what it is, the whole path in essence is the realization of oneness, the realization of wholeness, or as they say, that our true nature is not a body, it's not a mind, it's not a separate individual, but it's being consciousness bliss, Sat Chidananda. That what we are is more like an energy field, a conscious energy, a joyful conscious energy that's eternal. That's what we are, and the realization of that. So it sounds good, right? This realization, like that we are this eternally joyful, free being. And the problem is the way it's taught nowadays is all the preparatory practices are skipped. Advaita Vedanta has been around for a long time, and Vedanta, Advaita just being one school, it's been around for thousands of years. And it's a path to that realization and to living in that moment by moment. But now what's happening is there's a whole slew of teachers who are out there just talking about the end goal, just talking about this, you are consciousness, you are free, you are not a body, you are not a, just over and over and over. And that's what most people think non-duality is, just listening to and repeating to ourselves, I am not the body, I am consciousness, I am not a personality. It's just kind of this one idea that's just, and most people think that's what non-duality is, and it isn't. That's the realization of that is the goal of non-duality. But the question is how to get there and how to stay there. Well, the thing is if you read a non-dual book, or you do some of the practices that are taught, like self-inquiry, or you go to a non-dual satsang, or you hang out with a teacher that has a little bit of awakeness, any of those things are going to get you high, meaning they're going to elevate your mood. The technical term for it is Shaktipat, this spiritual energy that elevates consciousness, or you could say more accurately, removes the obstacles to consciousness, to this awareness of awareness. Sounds great, except, and it's great in the moment, but until you remove various defects of character, which I won't go into here, but you can do a little research. And Adi Shankara, the founder of the school, talked about the prerequisites for self-inquiry. Then basically, soon you're going to start chasing that high. Soon you're going to become addicted to that high. And I speak from personal experience. And so the moment you start chasing that high, you're being selfish. You're being wrapped. It's literally, I want, give me, I need, and then you're hooked. Now, traditionally, non-duality, what was taught are these preparatory practices to eliminate selfishness, so that when you start to have such experiences, you don't cling to them. But that's not being taught nowadays. So basically, what we have, the modern non-duality movement, is basically a movement of getting high, getting spiritually high. And it creates addiction to that. And I know from personal experience of you can just start to lose interest in everything else and start to feel dependent on teachers, on going to satsang, on repeating these thoughts over and over, and then it not really create any lasting change. It's really tragic. It's really tragic. So, what to do about this? So, first and foremost, the recognition that what we're talking about is an eternal state. A spiritual high is not it. My own experience of it is that it's deep, deep stillness, untouchable stillness, deep peace. Normally we think of peace as being kind of boring, but a peace that is so good and so deep that it actually is blissful, that it's not just peace, that it's also joyful. Whereas these spiritual highs come and go. And don't get me wrong, they're fun and they feel good, but they're also dangerous. Like any form of pleasure is potentially dangerous because it's addictive. I'm not saying don't go do pleasure, don't go do things that are pleasurable. That's not what I'm saying at all. But what we have going on is we have these teachers getting people high and then teaching them, hey, this is the ultimate truth, and people believe that. Now it's a double whammy. They have a spiritual addiction, and they also think the path they're on is the highest truth. That's why I call it a shit show. It's really a kind of cult. So, what to do? So traditionally, people were taught karma yoga and bhakti yoga before they were taught jnana yoga. Karma yoga is the yoga of action. Bhakti yoga is the yoga of devotion. Jnana yoga is the yoga of self-knowledge, the end goal of Advaita Vedanta. So before hopping into jnana yoga, what needs to be done is to practice karma yoga and bhakti yoga. Karma yoga is the attitude of being a servant of God or a servant of life, and learning how and learning the necessary skill of not being attached to outcomes, leaving the outcome in God's hand, doing something and being like, and the results are up to you, God. I don't want the results. So that's like ending selfishness 101. Ending selfishness 102 is bhakti yoga, the yoga of devotion, of love, of cultivating love for God. Why do this? Because so with karma yoga, you begin to eliminate selfishness and eliminate grasping, eliminate seeking of any kind. Then with bhakti yoga, then you start to orient towards God. This recognition of God as our parent, our friend, our lover, most importantly, as the true source of happiness. So in bhakti yoga, we start directing our love towards God and recognizing that only the divine is going to bring us happiness. This keeps us from seeking even more seeking in the world, and specifically keeps us from looking to romantic partners to be our source for happiness, because that, I've tried it. It doesn't work out so well. Even spiritual partnerships. What we all want is eternal happiness. Nothing temporal can give us that. So, once you've created an attitude of surrender and service through karma yoga, once through bhakti yoga, you're primarily oriented towards and focusing on God. And the nice thing about karma yoga and bhakti yoga is they can be done all throughout the day. Then you're ready for jnana yoga, for the yoga of knowledge, for this recognition of our true nature and of oneness. But before that, if you haven't perfected, you don't have to formally do karma yoga and bhakti yoga, but you need to have those attitudes. Otherwise, practicing jnana yoga, the yoga of knowledge, without those first two, it's going to just create this roller coaster of spiritual highs and spiritual lows. I know, I speak from personal experience. Plus, you're going to be at war with yourself. You're going to be saying, I am the self. I am complete and whole. And yet you're also still wanting things. That's why Ramana Maharshi said self-inquiry, a form of jnana yoga, is only for those who have renounced all interest in the world. And the way to get there is through karma yoga and bhakti yoga. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Poorly taught non-duality took me to the brink of suicide. My closest friend took him to the brink of suicide. My closest friend's brother had a psychotic break through doing it, being improperly taught it. So it's fucking dangerous. I'm not saying the truth is dangerous. The path to the truth, when poorly taught, the poorly taught for non-duality is dangerous. End of story. Now, all of this, there's one exception to all of this, and that's someone who's ripe. With someone who's ripe, they can sit in the presence of a guru, they can hear the non-dual message, or someone just posted a comment where they just had a spontaneous experience. So everything I'm saying doesn't apply to such people. And that's the difference between most of these modern non-dual teachers and a true guru. A true guru can just tune into someone, sense where they're at, and to that person, the guru will look them right in the eye and say, well, they might just say nothing and look them in the eye. Teach that way, where they'll say, you're not the body. You're that which is aware of the body. You're not your feelings. You're that which is aware of them. And for the ripe soul, that seed will be properly sown and it will bear fruit, sometimes instantly. For the unripe soul, it can lead people down a very nasty, confusing, really deadly road. There's only 2 books I'm aware of that really teach non-duality properly. I'm sure there's a couple others that I don't know of. One of them is Upadesha Saram, one of the few books written by Ramana Maharshi, and books by James Schwartz, The Essence of Enlightenment, that covers the whole path. I think James Schwartz makes a couple errors, so I can't fully endorse him, but it's great foundation for the real deal. Thank you so much for joining in. And so this channel is a channel for 2 things, to spread the true teachings of Advaita Vedanta and to help people recover from the false teachings. And the way I'm doing it that way is because I'm recovering. Poorly taught Advaita Vedanta is crippling. It's very dangerous. And the good news is it's not dangerous to our true self. The bad news is it will send us down a path that keeps us from knowing that, and will create all sorts of barriers to actual self-knowledge. Thank you so much for dropping by. Take care. Much love.